Whenever you have to work with locating options on a grid, typically the challenge is using two different measurement schemes at the same time. This question is an exercise in that. Let's take a look. Consider the following 5 situations. Okay, so this is what we're trying to classify. Now what are they? Maintenance of a network of ATMs, production and packaging of cake mix, a barn raising in which an entire fast food restaurant is torn down and completely replaced in 48 hours, hosting and promoting the performance of a touring music group, and repair of an electrical grid to restore electricity to homes after a storm. Okay, so these are 5 different situations. Now consider the following grid, and so I mean by grid, which indicates 5 positions marked A, B, C, D, E. Okay, fine. Each of these positions indicates different levels of 2 different classification schemes. The vertical axis on this grid is tangibility. That's a classification scheme in operations. You're talking about different operations or different situations. One way to measure them or classify them is the degree of tangibility of the output. That's the goods, highly tangible, versus services, intangible paradigm. All right, notice that on this grid, that's the vertical axis. That's what's being measured. Versus, oh, right, we also say, you know, if you're talking about different types of operations, there are these sort of known types of operations. Classic production and service management, that is where something is being valuable, being provided over and over and over again through time, versus project management. Project management is a situation in which something valuable is created only once. Versus event management, that's where something valuable is provided only once and it's on a tight timeline. It has to happen as of a certain amount of time and it's an event. Versus incident management, that's where something valuable is provided and nobody even planned on this happening in the first place. Okay, now we have to take these 5 situations and figure out where they best map here. Here's what I recommend. Work on one classification scheme at a time. Don't try to dive in right away and figure out who goes where. The classification scheme that I recommend first is tangibility. All right, so what I mean by that is in order to answer this question, what I'm first going to do is sort out those 5 different situations just in terms of tangibility, okay? This is like a preliminary step. Now, I don't want to keep writing these phrases over and over again. For instance, maintenance of a network of ATMs. Okay, so let's let ATMs be my shorthand for this option, the maintenance of a network of ATMs. Okay, production and packaging of cake mix. My abbreviation for that will be cake mix. Okay, a barn raising. Barn raisers are a colloquial term for any project in which you get a bunch of people together to do something complicated very fast. Okay, that will be my abbreviation for this particular one in which the entire fast food restaurant was torn down and replaced in 48 hours. Hosting and promoting the performance of a touring musical group. Why don't I just talk about the touring group? That'll be my abbreviation. And repair of an electrical grid to restore electricity to homes after a storm. I'm just going to abbreviate that as repair as I take notes. Okay, but we understand that that refers to the repair of an electrical grid after a storm. All right, now, go to the back up to the first one. The maintenance of a network of ATMs. The maintenance. The product is the maintenance of something that already exists. The maintenance of a network of ATMs, is that a highly tangible, you know, it's like salad, or intangible product? Well, the maintenance, the care of something that's intangible, that's a service. Oh, all right, so now I'm not touching the grid yet. I'm just going to do some sorting. I think that, you know, wherever ATMs do wind up, the maintenance of the network of ATMs, it's going to be somewhere up towards the top where intangible is on the grid. So I'm just making a note. As opposed to the production and packaging of cake mix. That's where you're producing cake mix. Cake mix is solid. Well, actually, usually cake mix is a powder, but I mean, it's a physical thing. It's a good, cake mix is gonna wind up somewhere lower down here. I mean, I'm not exactly sure which one of these, but I'm just making a note to myself. Okay, barn raising. The barn raiser, you're producing a restaurant. You're also doing something special. You're producing it in 48 hours. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to do with the physical aspect of the restaurant, but still, I mean, there's this tangible element. You're building a restaurant. I'm not real sure. Oops, I said barn raiser, excuse me. Barn raiser is going to belong lower down on this grid because you are actually producing a restaurant. I'm not comfortable ranking it below cake mix because of the fact that it is pretty special. You're producing a restaurant in 48 hours. Okay, but again, you're just noting, you know, these approximations. Now there were 5 of them. Who's next? Hosting and promoting of a performance of a touring group. Okay, now what's the product? You're hosting, you're staging this event, you're promoting this event. That's another nearly pure service, right? Okay, so it's going to go somewhere near the top, touring group. And then one last one, repair of an electrical grid to restore electricity. Tangible or intangible? Repair. Something already exists, got knocked down, you're putting it back, that's what you do. That's another service. So we kind of have this cluster up here. And that's what I wanted to do in these preliminary notes, was kind of sort it out. I'm still not sure who goes exactly where, but the ATM touring group and repairing the grid is going to be somewhere up here. The barn raiser, you know, you are producing a restaurant, and the cake mix is going to be somewhere down in here. Oh, all right, now, second step. What we were doing was dealing with this classification scheme. Now let's deal with this one. Okay, now, and this is nice. See, we can break down the problem. For instance, we said that the barn raiser and the cake mix, we expect them to be assigned somewhere lower down. Why don't I create a finished list so we'll know when we're done who did we wind up assigning, and then let's work our way through this list. The barn raiser and the cake mix, producing cake mix, we expect to be lower down. Now that means they're either A or B, but which one's which? Oh, well, actually think about cake mix. Cake mix is something that's produced in high volume. It's something that you would produce continuously, packaging it, shipping it to stores. That is a classic example of production management. That implies that the cake mix belongs somewhere in this column, and we know that it belongs somewhere lower on the grid. Cake mix must be that particular point, B. Okay, got that one done. As opposed to, now wait a minute, barn raiser, that only leaves A. And let's check our understanding. We're producing something tangible, so it's lower down, but we're not producing it on an ongoing basis. It is, now see how it's straddling project and event management? That's something that's special about what people call a barn raiser. It is a project, right? Like the replacing of this restaurant, but it is a project that is deliberately being done in a very, very short amount of time by bringing in a heroic number of people and them working really intensively on it during that time. That compression of time is what kind of bumps it halfway into the event management. Well, anyway, the barn raiser's got to be A. We figured out that one. Okay, now we've got this ATM versus touring group versus repair, and then we have these 3 points. Which one is which? Well, I'm looking at the first column, production and service management, and I'm remembering anything that's classified there is something that's done on an ongoing basis. Let's see. Of the 3 things that are left to assign, only the maintenance of ATM network is something that you would do on an ongoing basis. Oh, so it belongs up near the top and it belongs over in this column. It must be D. Okay, so D is taken care of. Oh, ATMs are taken care of. That means we just need to assign the hosting and promotion of the musical touring group versus the repairing of the electrical grid after a storm. Which one is event management and which one is incident management? Okay, well, the one that's incident management would be the one that was created by an unscheduled, usually unexpected event. The other one, the one that's event management, with the timing of it when it happened would very much have been planned in advance, like a date that was carefully chosen. Okay, right, repairing the grid after a storm. The storm was an incident. Repairing the grid after the storm is incident management. Right, the C, that has to be the repair scenario, repairing the grid, which just leaves us with E, and leaves us with the touring group. Right, if you're a promotion company, what is it that you actually do? You plan events. You're in event management. Now at that point we have all 5 assigned. So at that point we have this particular puzzle solved.